Meeting to order for the day. First item is approval of today's agenda.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second to approve today's agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Citizens to be heard. Any citizens that would like to be heard on any item that is not on the agenda? Seeing none, approval of payment of bills and vouchers.
Move approval. Second.
Motion and a second to pay the bills. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of minutes from the May 14th, 2019 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the May 14th, 2019 minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item, request to fill vacancy for full-time corrections officer. Julie's not here, so Kim, you want to do the compliance fund committee and recommended disbursement for 2020?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the beginning of May.
Now you have to do this as quick as we did at the actual meeting.
The actual complaints meeting? I'll try. So the recorder's office has compliance fund money that comes in if our office is compliant, and in 2018 we were 100% compliant. And so with that, we have the availability to share our funds with other land records departments. And so the committee met, and on the memo we have showed that we're going to share $105,000 with the other land record departments, with $15,000 going into the tax system maintenance, $40,000 for the remonumentation program. That's working with AE2S to set the section corners throughout the county. The $37,850 for information services, and then the $12,150 for the assessor's office software. I do need board approval to spend this money. Do you guys have any questions?
Any
for me on
questions
it?
for Kim on this?
Is this pretty consistent with last year?
Yeah, it was, the year prior it was 110,000, and just because we've had a little bit of a decrease in documents, we don't want to deplete our fund if we were to become non-compliant, so it's $5,000 less, but it's been pretty consistent
The
throughout the years.
distribution
Yes,
is,
yep.
I got a question about
Okay.
the remonumentation program.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a portion of the county that they do that?
That is actually a great question for Mark in Information Services.
It's not the whole county.
They can only do a portion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they, I believe Mark, he's not in here anymore.
That's okay.
Sets areas that they need help with their mapping on, and they determine which area he should work on.
That'll probably go on for several years yet to
Right.
get it all complete.
Any other questions for Kim? I know she did a good job at the meeting and kept it short, and it was her
Thank you.
first time out, so.
I'd move approval of the
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Julie's.
Julie's all sick today.
Oh, okay. Good morning.
Morning, Justin.
Well, I'm here to ask to fill a full-time vacancy. We were actually informed after we submitted this notice that for probationary employees, we don't really need to come back to the board, but we felt we already had it on the agenda, so we'd come back. Had a probationary employee turn in their resignation, so effective, I believe its last day is this coming Monday. Only been with us for a very short period of time since February. Just decided this wasn't for him, so looking to get approval to fill that vacancy.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the request. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. See, we're easier on you than Julie, so.
I'll let her know
Thanks,
that.
Justin.
We're,
Send me out.
Yeah, yeah.
we're meeting at 1 today, right, for the,
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, next item, reappointment of Mark Cleveguard for his third three-year term on the Planning Commission. Emma, good morning.
Good morning. We're still cleaning up all of our records here. So we did find one planning commission member who was not reappointed for his third-year term yet. Again, he is currently showing up and he was voted secretary, so we're sure that he wants to continue moving forward. This will be his third term, and it will expire next November. Oh, I'm sorry, November 2021.
Okay.
Mark does a great job and is very active and well-informed, and so I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion and a second to reappoint Mark Pleebgard to the Planning Commission. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, if we could, I think now may be a appropriate time to introduce our new planning director, Matt Jacobson. Matt has been very active in some watershed, one plan meetings, and so Commissioner Gross and I have had the opportunity to meet him there, and today is your first day, so welcome to Clay County.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited to be here, so.
Good deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Welcome, Matt, we're glad to have you on board, so.
Thanks, good to be here.
Welcome.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Well, let's see, we've got 5 minutes into the meeting, we're at committee reports, so Kevin, I think you're gonna help us out here.
What are you saying here?
Jenny, I'll let
Yeah,
Jenny go
well,
first.
all right. Last week I attended the PIC committee meeting. We had several things to discuss in terms of kind of placing some people on the grid coming in. We had some discussion about the dispatch center. I think some issues going on there, but our sheriff is well aware and active in kind of discussing that. And I'm not sure, did we have a third? Oh, we discussed the wage.
Right.
The wage study, so
They'll
the
be coming
presentation will be
next
coming,
week, I think.
yeah, in June.
Next week, right, Darren, they're coming?
2
2 weeks, okay.
Okay, so that concludes that one. And then that evening, I did have the Planning Commission meeting where we had 2 public hearings. Were basically permits that were approved 2 years ago, but because nothing had happened, no construction had happened within a year, they'd expired, and so there was a cell phone tower that we reissued, and then a gravel permit and aggregate or asphalt batch plant on the same piece, but there were no individuals to speak against or for really, so we approved them with the same contingencies as before. That concludes my reports.
Thank you, Kevin.
On Tuesday, the 21st, we had an insurance committee meeting, and that one, again, we're focusing on the number of plans we have and how we can maybe reduce those plans a little bit to, by doing that, it might also impact the annual increases that we see happening through premiums. And there's some other things being discussed. I know we're going to be meeting almost monthly now until open enrollment, so we can get some of these recommendations out. On Wednesday, the 22nd, start off in the morning with the meeting at Prairie Lakes and Perham. Again, all's going well there. The budget is looking good. They made the interest payment on the bond without any financial problems in doing so. There's going to be a little bit of work done on one of the boilers where it'll be shut down for a little while, but that's been anticipated. That afternoon, I got back in time for the flood diversion public outreach meeting. There was some discussion about the Clomar submission. It's the dealing with the FEMA floodplain. There was a report back. Several of our technical people did a tour of the Winnipeg area during the flood with the Winnipeg diversion, and apparently that was really a good deal. And then there's always updates to our social media that we have. Right after that, there was a land management committee meeting, and we got an update on the property acquisition status report. The U.S. Army Corps was there, and they gave a presentation on when they plan to resume construction work on the North Dakota side. Then we got an update on a meeting that was held with the city of Christine. There's several cultural mitigation things going on now too, that both on the North Dakota and Minnesota side, where the Corps is going to want to put in some permanent testing areas to, monitor habitat. So that's, that won't happen in Minnesota until that Morehead Clay County Joint Powers Board is established, and then we did talk about that, and I think the plan, I'm not sure, but I think it might be next week. I know John Shockley said it would be early June, so I'm thinking it might be on the agenda next week to give the presentation of the draft, with the idea in mind then that we would have some time to review that, and he's going to do that with both the county and the city of Morehead, with the idea in mind that it would be brought back here for approval by sometime mid to late June. So then on Thursday we had the Diversion Authority meeting, and we basically did a lot of recaps of the meetings I just talked about. Let's see. We did have some discussion regarding meetings with the Buffalo Red River Watershed District and the Corps and the DNR and ourselves. I think there's something tentatively planned for a meeting for that to go on in early June. And then Friday morning I did attend a call from the executive committee regarding litigation items dealing with the diversion. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Frank.
Wednesday, I went to the Historical Society, and there's going to be some questions concerning rent increases there or not. We have to find out whether our budget will, I don't know whether by the time next month's meeting, whether we can have any figures yet or not, whether we need to approve something like that or not, but they got concerns concerning rent increases there. That was pretty much the main thing there. And then Wednesday night I went to the Linden City Council meeting, and where they just a lot of improvements going on at Linden. That Stockwood addition that they got right in Highway 10 has been all filled up. All those lots have been sold, and so some improvements coming in Linden, and getting ready for Park Avenue, which is going to happen probably next week. So, all right, that's it.
Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My report goes back to the previous week. On Thursday, May 16th, I attended the board meeting for the Lake Agassiz Regional Library, and we welcomed new Morehead City Council member Shelley Carlson, took the oath of office, and then we heard the preliminary budget information for the next year. Then on Friday, Friday, May 17th, I attended the Early Childhood Initiative meeting, and we had a discussion of parent notebook issues. We had a presentation on First Children's Finance by Kari Rosenfeld-Stedelman, and these are loans and business support available for child care providers, we've discussed. Especially businesses adding a child care option on-site or off-site for their workers, which is a very important topic at this point in time. Funding for this is primarily provided by the Minnesota Department of Human Services. We also had an invitation to participate in the inaugural The Longest Table event, which Carolyn just passed out a flyer for here a little bit ago. And that's going to be held on Wednesday, June 12th, outside at the Dilworth Community Center from 6 to 8 p.m. This is a free event to residents of Dilworth and Morehead. And there's something special about sharing a meal with neighbors to discover common ground. Come exchange stories and share why you chose Morehead or Dilworth to be your home and how it can be a better place to live. Local table hosts will facilitate a discussion on various issues about our communities. Participants are encouraged to park in the Axis Clinical's parking lot and ride a free shuttle bus to the venue. The event will be, I said it was outside, okay. And then on Tuesday, May 21st, I attended the Adult Mental Health Local Advisory Committee. And due to low turnout because of another conflicting mental health meeting, the presentation by the Mobile Mental Health Crisis Response Team was tabled until the next meeting. The Hawley Health Fair for mental health is slated for June 6th. And then on Wednesday, May 22nd, I attended the Flood Finance Committee meeting. That's my report.
Thank you. I had the PIC meeting last week, which Jenny reported on, Prairie Lakes, which Kevin reported on, and that still, the meetings are short, so that's usually an indication things are going well, like Kevin said. So I had the Diversion Authority, and Kevin reported on that, but we did extend the Buffalo Reds decision on their permit also into June.
Yeah, end of June.
End of June, so. And that was it for me. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did also attend the Insurance Committee and PIC meeting last Tuesday after board. That's been addressed. I briefly attended the Board of Adjustments that evening. And I would like to publicly acknowledge the work that Emma did and Rita in the time that we were without a planning and zoning. I think they did the county very well in the time frame to get us to our new planning and zoning director. On Wednesday, I met with Darren on a number of series of HR issues. On the 23rd, I participated in the multi-hazard mitigation plan update. Was put on, Gabe set it up, but we had representatives from University of Minnesota Duluth and the Andreessen consulting firm. They're looking at updating our 5-year plan, and we received feedback both from the county, the city, the townships, utility organizations, and education representatives. And we answered a series of questions, reviewed our natural hazards, our mitigation strategies, and we'll be meeting again this fall to finalize the plan. Later on the 23rd, I participated in the Diversion Authority meeting. On the 24th, we had a meeting, emergency responder discussion.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to report.
Commissioner Mojo was there. We had Nate Paulson, representatives from FM Ambulance, Sheriff Epting, and Gabe Tweeden. They're just having a real challenge in some of the outlying communities to find first responders, and kind of brainstormed a little bit on different issues that they're facing. I don't know if there's anything else, Commissioner Mojo, that...
Yeah, I think this is something that when Brian Green was here, Commissioner Grouse and I were part of a discussion where it really has become a challenge to get enough people to respond in different pockets of the county. And as the county is growing, that need is obviously going up. And so I think we proposed a couple questions to them about what it would take to maybe fill the void in some of those areas, whether it be during the day when people are in either town working, and that may be a response problem. But I think we owe it to the county to kind of vet out whatever option best, specifically if there are some delays in response time. And I don't know what that will look like in the future, but I think between the Sheriff's Department and FM Ambulance and/or what Nate Paulson was proposing, I think we could find something. But just know that issues will be coming back to this board at some point.
We talked about bringing forward the issue to our township meetings and also our city-county discussions this fall. So, on Friday, met with Kevin Kassenberg, Gabe Foltz, Cass County Administrator Robert Wilson, and Stanley Wolf, their weed inspector, on the noxious weed issue. I think we came to a temporary, decision that Mr. Wolf would come across and help with the certification of North Dakota noxious weed. And what they're looking for is, it was clarified that they're not looking that it's verified seed-free, they're just looking that it's verified weed-free. And so Mr. Wolf was going to come through, and they're going to be working with the Cass County Attorney's Office. Mr. Wolf indicated that their office was the one that directed them not to come across state lines, and so we're looking at the potential of establishing some sort of joint powers agreement that will allow him to come across in the future. So, and then lastly, on Friday I met with Tim Osby. He's administrator of the 7th and 8th Judicial District, Shelley Jeffers, and Judge Michael Fritz. Mr. Osby had indicated that District 7, our district composed of 10 counties, has the first, second, and fourth highest needs for just additional courtrooms and judges in the state. And so they were, I guess, looking to see what our abilities were here at Clay County for a future placement. I think the Becker County does have an open court right now. And so if funding does become available, Becker would be looking at adding another courtroom. Judge Fritz indicated that we have four courtrooms, but we have just under five, need for under five courtrooms. And so when they send an extra judge in, a visiting judge, they're just taking one of our existing judges out, and so we're not really catching up or getting ahead. And so that was one of the things that they wanted us to have future discussions on. And then the last thing I guess I just had, I think most of you have responded to the road tour through the highway department. We're looking at June 20th, 9 to 11. So if you haven't responded to Colleen, if you guys could do that, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
No updates from me, thank you.
Colleen, anything? Schedule these meetings anytime you like, Colleen. It's 20-minute meetings, so we're adjourned.